So today I'm going to be talking about why you should be using a foreign debit card from your home country in your adopted country. Every time you send money to yourself using Wise and other services like these, you're losing money. It's not just here in Brazil where it's a problem. This isn't just a Wise problem either. This affects anybody living abroad. If you're sending money to yourself in a foreign currency, then you're probably paying a lot more than what you need to. Let's say you send $1,000 to yourself in Brazil using Wise. Wise charges a conversion fee of 0.78%. That already eats into your money before it lands. But here's the part that most people don't know. Brazil applies something called IOF, financial operations tax, on money coming in through a foreign exchange. So potentially you've got two separate charges being placed on your money, stacking on top of each other, the app's fee and the country's tax. And that's just to get your own money into your own bank. And let's say you open a bank account in the US or the UK, and that bank offers a debit card which has no foreign transaction fees. So I use a Chase UK card, and when I spend it directly here in Brazil, there's no foreign transaction fees, and it just uses the standard MasterCard exchange rate. There's no markup. The same applies if you're from the States. So cards like Schwab's checking account or certain Capital One cards work in the exact same way. It's completely 0% for you. So here's the comparison. Send $1,000 through Wise to Brazil, and depending on the exact transaction type, you could lose somewhere between $11 and $35 before you even receive the cent in your bank. Spend that same $1,000 directly on a fee-free foreign card and you lose close to nothing. And trust me, if you're spending on a family each month for groceries, for clothes, eating out, shopping, catching taxis, paying for fuel, if you were to spend all that money to yourself through Wise and spend that through your Brazilian bank account, then you could be losing perhaps even hundreds of dollars a month by using the Wise method. So let's say you send $3,000 to yourself each month to Wise just to cover all your expenses and you don't use a card at all. That's going to cost you around $35 to $40 a month, and that's just on $3,000. And I think most people would agree $3,000 isn't enough to sustain a family. The more you spend, the more you remit, the more you're going to lose on taxes and Wise fees. So you need to be using this card everywhere you possibly can. When you're in a restaurant, online shopping, when you go to the mall, when you go put fuel in your car. If you send your kids to private school, then even ask them if they can take card. My kids' school won't take it, but basically the point I'm trying to make is that you should be using that literally as much as possible rather than sending yourself the money, because you're going to be losing out on 1.1%, something like that, on every single pound, dollar, whatever you send to yourself. So let's do an annual comparison of, say, $3,000 a month. Sending $3,000 a month through Wise as a straight remittance to Brazil costs roughly about $420 a year once Wise's conversion fee and Brazil's IOF tax are combined. So using a fee-free foreign card instead and spending directly skips both charges entirely, meaning that the $420 is essentially pure savings for doing nothing differently except how you move your money. The more you remit to yourself, the more this is going to cost you. Obviously, you can't escape it completely. Like I said earlier, I can't pay for my kids' school with my debit card. They don't have the option to do so. Also, recently, Mercado Libre have stopped me using my foreign debit card. I don't know why. I can still use it on Amazon in Brazil, but for other websites, it's still working perfectly fine, my Chase card. And just to point out, here in Brazil, your foreign debit card will be treated as a credit card. So if somebody asks you, credito or débito, you always say credito, because here in Brazil, your debit card is a credit card as far as they're concerned. And one more thing to watch out for is when you use your foreign debit card here in Brazil, either for paying for a transaction or pulling cash out of an ATM, you'll sometimes get asked if you want to pay in your home currency or the local currency. Always choose the local currency. If you accept the home currency option, that's called dynamic currency conversion, and it lets the ATM set their own exchange rate, which almost always worsen your card's real rate. So I've noticed as well here that, especially for a bank called Itaú, when you get asked at the checkout if you want to choose BRL, Brazilian Real, or GBP, which is Great British Pound, they will put the Great British Pound as the green button and the BRL as the red button, because they're banking on you just going, just press green just to get the transaction done. But by doing that, you're choosing Great British Pound, and therefore that's when they'll have their markup on, which will absolutely annihilate any savings you've made from using the card. In fact, it's going to end up costing you a lot, and especially on big purchases. It's happened to me a couple of times where, I've been in a rush and I pressed the wrong button. I learned my lesson after looking at the statement. It's absolutely ridiculous, the percentage that they apply on top. When I was at the supermarket the other day, I was bagging my groceries on one of the automated self-checkouts. And on the screen of the payment terminal, it gave the choice of the red and green. And one of the checkout attendants came walking over and took it upon themselves just to press green, obviously thinking that they was helping me. But I was like, no, don't press that. And I was trying to explain to them in my average Portuguese what transfer pricing is. And that there was over a 15% markup applied to my groceries just because she pressed the green button. But I was met with blank stares and glazed eyes. So always use Brazilian real or the local currency depending where you are in the world. Here's the real takeaway. This isn't really about Wise being bad, because it isn't. It's brilliant. Moving money into a local account for rent and bills, Wise still wins. Spending day to day, buying groceries, paying for dinner, using Uber, a fee-free card wins every time. Go and check with your bank back in your home country, see if they have any foreign transaction fees, and if it does, go and open yourself a bank account as soon as possible that offers these fee-free transactions. I've gone ahead and done some research to compile a quick reference table for everybody. This list will hopefully account for most of the expats and people who've emigrated around the world. I'll put a link down in the description for people to download this. So for all my lovely Brazilian viewers out there, I've done this little slide here, which will detail the best way for Brazilians to spend abroad, which is a lot more complicated by the fact that you have to pay the IOF tax on every single transaction when you use your Brazilian bank account abroad. But there are ways to reduce this. The absolute best way for Brazilians to spend abroad is to transfer the funds into Wise or Nomad Invest and pay with an international debit card. Also, if you hold a premium card such as Nubank Ultravioleta, that's the best runner-up option because it gives you the IOF refund plus a 1.25% cashback. So thank you for watching. If you get value from this, please hit the subscribe and like. I appreciate it. Thank you.